And I know it's a terrible comparison to make because unless you're on stage with the person, it's really not fair. But I mean, when you look at the Olympia from this past year, I mean, how would that Branch Warren have done at this Olympia?
That physique you just put on the screen there,
yeah.
I think I would have won.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Welcome back to another edition of RX Muscle Spotlight. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined by an old friend and a legend in bodybuilding, probably one of the hardest training bodybuilders to ever do it. He needs no introduction. Branch Warren, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you for having me back, Dave. So happy to be here.
Yeah, no, you know, we ran into each other at the Olympia, which was kind of cool. And I haven't seen I hadn't been to the Olympia in a couple of years. And you know what that actually you're going to be experiencing that again because I hear Trish is pregnant, huh?
Yeah, so that's we have our daughter Faith, and you know I wanted 2 more kids. You know, Trish wanted at least 1 more, and we tried for years, right? We practiced, but didn't seem to get the game. Didn't play the game, and so
how old is Faith now? Because she's got to be 7,
11.
11. Wow. Oh yeah, she's older than my son. That's right.
So yeah, so a few months ago, you know, we're having breakfast. It's 6:30 in the morning. She goes, "I'm late." I'm like, "Where you got to be at 6:30 in the morning?" She goes, "No, I'm late on my period." And I'm sitting there. I'm like, "It doesn't compute, right?" I'm like,
"Yeah."
What does that mean? And she goes, "I might be pregnant." I go, "You're not pregnant, whatever." So I go to work, and that evening she comes in there with this little thing, and she goes, "I'm positive." I'm like, "What? You got COVID?" And she goes, "No." Away, and she was so totally.
Wow.
Complete surprise, but man, we couldn't be happier. So we tried for a long time to have it. So we finally God blessed us, and it's His timing, not yours, right? So
that's right. How old? I mean, when's the due date?
February 28th is the due date.
Wow. You know, I was supposed to be born on February 29th on a leap year, and then I wound up coming 2 weeks early, and I went up to 17th. But
this
cool.
Is leap year. We could.
Yeah, I know. I would have had a birthday every 4 years. I'd only be 12 now. You know, a son is so much different than a daughter, and you know, I think that you weren't ready for I think it was better that you started with a daughter because it smoothed you out a little bit, don't you think?
1,000%.
You had the son first. I don't know if that would have worked out as good.
Yeah, I don't think God gives you anything you can't handle, and sometimes unanswered prayers are the biggest blessings. So yeah, I wanted a son. I wanted a daughter too. I wanted both. I wanted to have the son first, you know, because I wanted my daughter to have a big brother, look out for her. But I think
she'll be looking out for him.
Yes,
she'll be babysitting for him because she'll be old enough, you know, to do that.
Oh, she's all about it. She's super excited about having a baby brother, and she's I think every day I come home, there's Amazon packages at the front. Something being ordered for the baby. So, do you have
a baby registry?
I have no idea.
Ask Trish. Let me know because I want to send you something. So, do you have a registry? A lot of times the women, we don't know what's going on, but a lot of times the women will register on Amazon or something like that, and they have like a baby registry. So just find out if you want.
I didn't even know you could do that. So
yeah, they do all that now. Yeah, they have all that cool stuff. So that you basically put your wish list of what you want for the baby because you guys have nothing, I'm sure, because your daughter's 11. You know, so you have to start all over again. You know,
100%. That's what Trish was saying. She goes, "Man, well, all of our stuff we got rid of all of it. You know, the crib and all that baby stuff, and so we got scratch again." So,
and they got new stuff out now. You know, they got cool stuff like rockers and automatic stuff and all kinds of cool stuff that they didn't have 11 years ago.
Yeah, it's a whole different. I guess everything progresses, right? Even
wow. It's funny because people still text me. They're like, "We just, you know," because I always give out. I have like a little baby making protocol that I give out to like, you know, guys that are bodybuilders that have taken anabolics, and to kind of like get them their fertility up. And so they're always like, so after they get their wives pregnant, and they have babies, they're like, what do you feed the baby? Then they're asking me like what the formula is that I, what formula did you give your baby? I said, well, I used Babies Only has some kind of like organic formula we used. I don't know. It was like I was researching a protein powder. Matter of fact, at one point when I think after my second one was born, I wanted to actually come out with a baby formula because most of the stuff is crap that's on the market. And there's so many rules and regulations, it's almost impossible to come out with a baby formula.
Wow. Yeah,
and people think it's high. They're not high protein. They're
high fat, right?
They're high fat, right, and pretty high carb too. Because the baby's only like 7, 8, 9 pounds. So if they're drinking 9 bottles a day, you only need 1 gram of protein per bottle to give them the 9 grams of protein they need. So you don't want to overload their kidneys with protein, and people don't realize that. Even breast milk is very low in protein.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it's really high, like you said, in fats, believe it or not, because it's the fat that I guess for the nervous system development, which is the thing that grows the most, I guess, when they're babies. So, and calcium, for bones and all that stuff, but. It's like, watching a baby grow or develop is like watching a bodybuilder do. It's the same thing, eat many times a day, sleep, right? And repeat, basically.
Yep.
What's your training like nowadays?
Man, I train 4 days a week. I love to train. I never understood some of the guys who competed and then they retire and they just quit training. So, I've said it before, but some people train because they're a bodybuilder. So I was a bodybuilder because I love to train.
Right.
And just because I stepped away from the stage doesn't mean I stepped away from the gym. So I still get in. I still train hard. I don't train as I used to. There's no reason for it.
Right.
But we still get in there and I still train hard. I train intense. And because I love doing it. So, I've always been a bodybuilder and always will be a bodybuilder.
Yeah. Isn't it nice to like go to the gym and know that you're probably not going to get hurt because you're lifting, but you're not like pushing the limit. I enjoy that. The fact that I felt like I got a great workout in, but I know that I didn't do anything that was going to really cause me to have any kind of permanent damage or tear a muscle or anything like that.
I have me and Johnny trained together for 20 something years and
right.
Pretty much every day up until maybe the past 2 years. But so after I retired, then he retired. I think we had more fun working out in those years after we retired than I think we did when we were competing. It wasn't good, you know what I mean? And we had fun. And in those first couple of years when we retired, we were still training really hard. But and we laugh and cut up and all this.
Right.
When we were competing, there was days we wouldn't even speak to each other. It was cool. I mean, we walk in, let train, leave, and never say, hey, fuck you, nothing.
You're there to do a job. That's right, basically.
Yeah. But so I definitely have I love the training back in the day, when you're strong, you're jacked, all that, you're training for a purpose. But I definitely probably, it's a different attitude now. And I probably have more fun now than I did when I was competing because it's the pressure's off, right? And you're not.
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't have to make improvements. You just have to get a nice workout and for your own good. Yeah. When you are you still going to Brian's gym, or do you train in other places? Yeah.
So we moved north of Dallas. We used to be.
Oh, that's right.
So it's about an hour and 20 minute drive.
Yeah.
That's place. So for the first time in 30 years, I'm not training there every day.
Wow.
So I train up in a training destination Dallas some, and then there's actually a Metroflex in Plano, which is like 20 minutes from my house. So go there and train a lot.
That's cool. I mean, when you see these guys today training at the gym, are you impressed? Are you not impressed? Are you disgusted? What's your take on that?
Every generation is different, right? The 70s to the 80s to the 90s to 2000s, my generation. So now everybody does it is different. The looks are different. Everything is definitely a different training style. I think I definitely I know the way you train, the way I trained. They call it old school now. I think the guys now are a little more controlled, about squeezing and holding stuff. But man, sometimes you gotta just say fuck it. I mean, And I don't. There's a few guys out there that still do that, but not many.
Yeah.
So it's a different era, different generation. The guys, you look at the top guys at Olympia, they look different too. So
Yeah.
good average body weight, they probably weigh more than my generation did.
Yeah.
I don't think they're as conditioned as my generation was either.
No.
So it's a
I
trade-off.
don't see that grainy. There are a couple of guys that I see them. I don't see a lot of guys with that like grainy Dorian-esque, I call it. You had it too. Just you could tell the muscle is hard. It's dense. I see more of this billowy looking muscle that's like got separation in it because of the genetics of the muscle, but doesn't seem like it's got that, density of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think it's a couple of factors go into that. And I think one of those factors is training. I think when I'm going to use Dorian, for example, when you train the way he did, super heavy, super high intensity, like that gives you a different look. You do that for years and years, you have a different look. I mean, even Ronnie had that. And, because now it took Ronnie 20 years to put 100 pounds of muscle on. Some of these guys are putting 100 pounds of muscle on in like 3 years. So it's a different look. So
when I first had put on my first 100 pounds of muscle, it took me about 5 years. I did it very quickly. And I was big and I used to get really lean, and I remember one judge telling me once, you got to get more muscle separation. And I didn't really understand what he was talking about. I was like, this guy's out of his mind. I'm like the hardest guy on stage. But then like 5-6 years later, toward the end of my career, if you look at the pictures, I can see what he was talking about. Like there's something that it just takes time to develop. Assuming that you train hard, obviously. Some people never get it.
No, that's 100% correct. And I think, bodybuilder doesn't really peak out until he's in his mid-30s. I think 35, 38 is usually when most guys, reach their best if they've been training for a long period of time. And I think that's when you start to get everything just matures. You get more separation. Your changes, even if you don't get bigger, but everything just changes. I mean, it's like you compare a 35-year-old man that weighs 200 pounds to an 18-year-old boy who weighs 200 pounds at the same body fat. Who looks more muscle? The man does. So you put 20 years of training behind that, it's going to be a huge difference. So I agree. They told me the same thing when I was up and coming, and I had to get more separation and this and that. And I was kind of the same way. I was like, no, what's this guy talking about? But
because you were always in shape,
And I was like, more separation. I remember I was so irritated, and I didn't ask for the opinion. They just gave it to me, and I remember thinking, man, I didn't ask this dude nothing. I was irritated. But a few years later, I'll look back and I know what he's talking about now.
Yeah, you were when you came in second at the Olympia that one year. I think that was your best ever. Would you agree?
2009 and Olympia and 2011 Arnold, I think were pretty similar.
You would just your legs were just like ridiculous. I mean, I couldn't believe how much size you put on your legs that year. I mean, I think your legs were actually bigger than Jay's that year. Let's see if we can pull a picture here of these people. People don't realize how much mass you had on your body. I mean, here's a good shot. I mean, you were dense. And those are real. Those are real legs. There's not an ounce of anything on those legs except for muscle.
Yeah, I was I'm 5'7". I was 242. I stepped on the scale that morning because everybody always wants to know how much you're going to weigh or something. So, I knew I was in the best shape of my life. Did I know how I was going to do? I had no idea.
Right.
And, so I stepped on a scale that morning at the hotel there to see what I weighed. And I was 242 on the dot. Wow. So when I stepped on stage that day, so I had no idea how I was going to do. I knew I was good, and I think I was number one in that show. And
that's right. You were the first guy out.
First guy out, and then when they did the first call out, I was the first name they called front and center. So I was like, you sit there for a minute, you're like, holy shit, I just got called first and center for the first call out of the Olympia. So,
it's a good sign. Yeah, it's a good sign.
Yeah, so it was on. So.
I mean, you really matched Jay size-wise. I mean, he's obviously taller than you, but it was crazy. When you look at the reason I showed these pictures is when you look at these pictures now and you see how you look here. And I know it's a terrible comparison to make because unless you're on stage with the person, it's really not fair. But I mean, when you look at the Olympia from this past year, I mean, how would that Branch Warren have done at this Olympia?
I
know, but I have to ask you that question.
I'm gonna break it down like this. There was two guys in that show that were really in shape. And that was first and second place.
Yep.
I think Derek was in good shape, and I think Hadi was in good shape. Beyond that, Samson was soft, and you go down the line, and everybody was soft. I mean, the only two guys that shredded glutes were Derek and Hadi. The guys were soft. If Samson would get hard, he beats everybody for years. Nobody could match him if he come in ripped.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
He has everything. You just got to get his condition down. So, so I think the conditioning is definitely a big factor. If that physique you just put on the screen there,
yeah,
2000, I think I would have won.
I was going to say that. I wanted to hear you say it, though, but I think you would have won.
But that's. But again, I hate these things, man. Because
I know.
It's
Well, let's look. You would have beat Derek because you're harder from the front than Derek, and more complete. And I think you're bigger than Hadi. I know Hadi's pretty big, but I think you're bigger and denser than he is, and you match up conditioning wise better than him. So that's why I have you beating him. But that it's crazy, and you guys are all kind of like the same height, which would level the playing field too.
About Hadi and Derek both, and they hit it perfect. I mean, I said this in some interviews previously before the Olympia. I said, "This, what do you think?" I said, "It's going to be, Hadi and Derek as long as none of the big guys are in shape." And what I meant by that was if like Samson's off, and some of the other, Andrew Jack, some of these guys, even Hunter Labrada, who's a big guy.
Yeah.
If they're off, they're not 100%. Then that leaves it open for somebody like Hadi and Derek to win because the reason I lost the 2009, Jay's bigger, he's taller.
Yep.
Size matters, plain and simple. I knew that going into it, and I've known that before then. I've known it since then. And size matters. Was I in better shape than Jay? 100%.
Yeah.
Jay, absolutely. He was probably his all-time best that year. He just lost to Dexter the year before, so he was hungry. Right. He brought his all-time best conditioning look to that Olympia 2009. So, so Hadi and Derek the past few years hit it perfect. None of the bigger guys really brought it. And, I think Nick Walker probably would have been the hardest one in the show, but
yeah.
He, going against the way Derek looked this year, you never know. Maybe Nick would have showed up and shown us something we hadn't seen before and won the whole thing. But he would have been, I think, hard pressed because of Derek's conditioning and Derek's shape.
Right. So
those two guys, they hit it perfect. If I could have hit it like that back in the day, I could have won 1 or 2 too. But it's just, that's if you're, 5'6", 5'7", and then the size of Derek and Hadi. If somebody like Samson shows up and they're hard, they don't have to be. You can be harder than them. They just got to be hard. And
why do you think a guy like Samson is not bringing that level of conditioning? Is it what we talked about earlier? Does he not have enough dense quality muscle and he needs more time, or is it he's not dieting hard enough? Or I hate when I hear people say some guys just can't get that hard. I don't believe that. I believe that if you suffer enough, everyone can get shredded.
Yeah, I don't know. Now, the guy just got third in Olympia, so he's doing something right? He just went out. So the guy's a mountain of a man. He's huge. Almost 300 pounds on stage, right?
Right.
290 something. So he's gigantic. He's got great shape, for that size. He's still got a small waist.
Yeah.
All the body parts are there. He just needs that conditioning. So what's the answer? I don't know. I don't know anything about his training or his nutrition, but I would speculate it has something to do. Need to make some adjustments to the nutrition plan to just come in a little bit tighter. He gets, like I said, he didn't have to be as hard as Hadi or Derek. He just got to be hard.
Yeah,
he wins. So
my theory on this whole thing is that, and I know it sounds ridiculous because he's so big, but let's say he needs to be 10 pounds lighter, right, to be in the best shape of his life, which would bring him down to what, 280 or mid 280s. I don't know. You never get a real accurate, weight on these guys. So, which means he probably needs to add another 10, 15 pounds of muscle, which I know sounds insane because he's so big already, but he's really not carrying 300 pounds of ripped muscle. He should theoretically be lighter than what he is to be conditioned, but if he's lighter, he might not look as complete. And I understand why they brought him in why Milos brought him in looking the way he did, because he looks better, fuller. But if he can replace that fullness with real muscle and lose that body fat, I think that's the unbeatable package. Wouldn't you say?
That's the Ronnie Coleman look.
Right. That's what Ronnie did, exactly.
ripped hard. He's the biggest on stage and the hardest on stage at that point.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, Ronnie wasn't 6'2" or whatever Samson is, which is obviously makes it harder, but sometimes it just takes longer, to get there, and I think the gains that Samson made are incredible if you think about it over the last 2 years.
Oh, incredible. And he's he's the hottest guy out there right now, I think, as far as obviously Derek's the champ, but he's the hottest guy, just won the Arnold and got third at the Olympia. And he is, in my opinion, the number one contender for the title next year.
Yeah. If I think Samson's doing the Arnold, I hear Hottie's doing the Arnold, and I know Nick Walker, he hasn't announced, but I have a feeling we're going to see him at the Arnold after seeing him last week guest posing. He looks like he's all healed up. If we see those three guys at the Arnold Classic, who do you think takes that title? If you were a betting man.
Talk about apples, oranges, and pears.
Yeah.
You got three totally different physiques. And I don't know. Nick's won it before. Samson won it last year. I don't know. Everything being equal, Nick will probably be the hardest one on the contest with his conditioning. Then you got Hade, who, he kind of has a combination of size, shape, hardness, everything. And then of course Samson, that just massive presence on stage because of his size.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Nick was, this last year, if Nick had looked like he did at the Olympia, I think he would have won the Arnold. I think he would have been Samson. Quite a bit lighter. I think his legs suffered the most, trying to like that. If he had looked like he did at the Olympia, I think he would have won. He still got second. And so that's a tough one. I don't know.
Yeah.
If Nick comes in his absolute best, I think he could win. But
all three of those guys could win, really, is the answer, right?
It's a tough one, man. I mean, Samson could repeat. And, Hadi, he's proven his greatness, won the Olympia and beat the whole world. So
I
think it just depends on how they show up that day, because I could sit here and choose any one of the three and justify them winning.
When you came back, I did that 09. Was it the 09 Arnold you won? Yeah. So Branch tears his quad 6 months early, comes back and he challenged
2011.
Right? 2011. Oh, 2011. Excuse me, 2011. Sorry, I'm thinking Kai Green. So 2011, you come back and you do the Arnold Classic. Now everyone's the lineup stacked. No one thinks that Branch has a chance, myself included, because I've had a quad tear and I know it's a brutal injury. And Branch comes in and wins the show. Now, the reason he wins the show is obviously you have all the tools, but everyone else was like a little bit off too. And you are the perennial Branch Warren, always in the best shape, always shredded to the bone, and you win the show. Isn't it amazing that, we can handicap these shows from today till tomorrow, and and I know that there's going to probably be at least 50%, if not more, of the guys will not be at their best. And I don't know why that is. There's very few guys that I can remember in recent that they were always on. You were one of those guys that was always on. Phil Heath was Mr. Consistency with conditioning. But there's not a lot of guys, Dexter, there's not a lot of guys like that are consistently always in shape. And so you try to handicap the show and you can never pick the right winner because you never know who's going to be off.
I think there's more uncertainty now in bodybuilding than there's been in decades. Like you said, previous, generation, there was always a few guys that you knew they were going to be on. And so you could have a little bit better grasp of how it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of inconsistency, I think, now with the conditioning. Speaking for myself personally, I knew I had to be 100%. With my physique, I had to be 100% in shape, and I knew if I was 100%, I could beat pretty much anybody in the world.
Right.
97%, I was going to fall a bunch of places.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to have my conditioning down, and I couldn't sacrifice, conditioning for size or anything else. I knew it. By the time I was in my 30s, I had enough muscle on me that I could. I could stand with anybody as long as my conditioning was 100%. So that's just, I knew what the judges wanted. And, I think some of the judges told me after I retired, they go, man, as soon as you walked out from behind the curtain, we knew if you were on or not.
Yeah, no, you and most of the time you were on, and that's why you always did well, because you beat guys that potentially could have beat you, but you just out conditioned them, you out professionals them. You just always were there. Like Dexter, I always say Dexter was always there just waiting. I knew he was going to win Olympia because it was just a matter of the right timing where everyone was a little off. Dexter was there at the right time and he won that Olympia.
100%. And Dexter, I think, was the epitome of consistency. I mean,
Yeah.
Dexter off maybe 2 times, 3 times in his career.
Yeah.
He always brought it, always looked good. So, it was just and to do it for as long as he did was amazing. He competed till he was 49.
That's what's so admirable about his career. It was the consistency. That I mean, you can't explain to someone how impressive that is unless you've done it yourself. For that many years to be that consistent with what you bring to the stage.
And people don't understand how hard it is to always be on.
I know.
Prep is different.
And because there's a mental component of it too. You get nerves,
Yes, and so many intangibles and people that, why can't you just get in shape? Why's he off? I'm like, I know what you're talking about.
But there are people that have way too many excuses. Like, it's one thing when you're off once in a while. Everyone has a bad day. But, sometimes there's people that have bad days. Like Cedric McMillan, always looked great at the Arnold. He was always had something wrong with him at the Olympia. You have to believe that was obviously something mental because he can never nail it at the Olympia. But he nailed it at the Arnold all the time. And, some people have a strong mind. And I think that in bodybuilding, you prove that. I mean,
you have a strong mind. I mean, because this sport is so mental. Everybody thinks it's physical. And I'm like, it's probably 89% mental because of the whole grind that was grind you into the ground. The training, nutrition, especially the pre-contest part of it. And not strong, man. It'll grind you to the ground. I've seen it.
If I would have put your head into Ramy's body, you probably would have won 10 Mr. Olympias.
Right.
All right. I want to talk about because I like the fact that you're very diversified. Over the years that I've interviewed you, we always talked about a lot of your businesses. You had shipping businesses and gyms, and you've sold and made money, and you've been involved in this Wicked Cuts company for a while. I remember when you first told me about it, and you've sent me some. My son actually loved this stuff. It's a beef jerky. Explain how that whole started, just for people who might not know, and where it's available.
So we opened up. So I partnered with Scott James. So May will be 6 years we've been open, and so Scott James was the original owner, founder of BSN back in the day, and they sold out and made $1 bazillion, did super well, and
exactly.
We were actually. He approached me and said, "Hey, I've always wanted to do something with you, work with you," and he said, "I've got an idea of a business." I said, all right. So we met up later, and I'm thinking he wants to get back into the supplement thing.
Right.
He said, let's do beef jerky. And I'm like, beef jerky? And I sat there for a minute. I'm like, it totally caught me off guard. And I was pitching it to me. And he said, he goes, how many people buy bodybuilding products? What, 2% of the population, 1%? It's a pretty small niche. And he goes, how many people eat beef jerky? Pretty much everybody who's not a vegan eats beef jerky, right? I mean, it's beef jerky at every gas station, hardware stores, everywhere you go. I mean, you see it. So I'm like, all right. And so we start talking. I said, man, he goes, what do you know about beef jerky? It's not much. I go, me either.
I love it.
I go, what are we going to do? And he goes, we're going to learn it. I'm like, all right, let's go for it. And we talked some more, and then we just went to work, educating ourselves. I liked beef jerky. My father used to make it when I was a kid.
Right.
But I didn't know a whole lot about it, but I did have some ideas about it that I wanted to, bring to bear. And I wanted it to be tender. I didn't want it to be the kind of jerky that's so tough.
Right.
Headache from chewing it,
Yeah.
I wanted some very unique flavors that differentiated us with our tenderness and with the flavor, profile to distinguish us from some of the competitors. And I wanted it to be as healthy as possible. Obviously, jerky, a major component of it is having salt in it, sodium, but comparison to most jerkies, ours is low sodium for a jerky. So we have some like our jerky chips, which is our newest product we just launched, has 2 ingredients: beef and salt.
That's it.
So
wow.
So some of these products,
I don't think I've tried that. They're crunchy.
They're crunchy. Imagine a Pringle but made out of beef.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, that's a great idea. That's a great keto snack too.
Yes, it's super healthy. Like I said, it's 2 ingredients: it's beef and salt. And it's like a Pringle. It's super thinly sliced, and then we turn it into turkey, and that's my favorite product now.
You gotta send me some of that. I gotta try it.
Send you some out. We got several different flavors, and it's going really well. Of course, our best, our number one seller is our bacon jerky, specifically our bacon, but we've got several different flavors of bacon.
Is it actually bacon, or is it flavored like bacon?
It's actual bacon strips that we
Wow.
here and turn into dehydrate it and do the whole jerky thing.
Right.
So when you take it out of the sack, it's just like a piece of breakfast. It's bacon, just like you'd eat for breakfast, but we turned it into jerky. So the maple bacon.
You're not hunting. Are you hunting the wild boars and making the jerky bacon out of that?
I have to kill thousands of them.
I'm just kidding.
That's all I would do. So
that would be a great story if you actually were hunting down the jerky you're selling. But
so it's going really well. It's
good.
Based here in South Lake, Texas, and we're number one on Amazon. Our bacon jerky is going really well. And so we're in thousands of retailers across the country now, and going super good.
Yeah, it's interesting. People always ask me about Amazon, and they're like, "How do you do on Amazon?" I said, "Well, you have to be on Amazon nowadays. I mean, it's that important. I mean, my Species Nutrition Company, we sell probably 50% of our sales is on Amazon, and it's not the greatest place to be in terms of because Amazon takes a chunk of what you sell, but it's the exposure on there. You have to be there, and if you're successful on Amazon, you're going to be successful as a business, assuming your margins are correct.
Yep, I agree. It's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
So it's just that's how you do business these days. The whole business model for everyone has changed.
Exactly.
Just like we're talking about the magazines earlier. How they've gone by the wayside. It's kind of sad. Because I remember we were talking earlier about if you got a magazine cover, that's like a big deal back in the day. If you got Flex or Mustard, a big deal. And these kids nowadays are like, huh? So,
explain what it was when you were on your first cover, what it meant to you, because I don't think people understand how because everyone's about social media and they don't understand what it meant to be on a magazine cover.
So I got my first cover, and it was probably 2005, and so actually before then, I take that back. I won the national, so it would have been.
You won the cover after nationals? I don't remember. Were you?
Yeah, it might have been 2001, 2002. It's been a minute.
I think. Was it 2002? Yeah, you won 2002.
I've got to hang out. It's hanging in my office. I need to look at the date on it. But that's a big deal. So I got the cover of actually Flex magazine was my first cover, and it came in the mail. They sent it to me in the mail before it hit the newsstand, and I was like, holy crap! I just got the cover of a pretty cool deal. It I just my mother went out and bought 20 copies. I told her about it. So, and kept them and gave them out to all the family members. So I remember I brought it to the gym and I was like, dude, check it out, guys. I got the cover of a Flex magazine. Everybody's like, holy crap, man, because that's a huge deal back then.
Right.
And outside of Ronnie, nobody at the gym had ever gotten a cover. So that was a big deal, man. So I took that one and I framed it and have it hanging in the house. But it was, when you got a cover of Flex or MD back in the day, it was kind of like, all right, you're legit. You just made it.
Yeah. I remember this one cover. I just found it. Hold on. Because I love this one cover. Because I'm a leg guy, I think that was a crazy cover. I remember I was working in the office when that picture came in, and Bleckman's like, wow, what do you think about this one? I'm like, that's your shot, man. I said, that's the cover shot. I said, you got to use that shot. I said, he's like, that's kind of a weird. I said, it's the freakiest shot I've ever seen. I said, you got to put that on the cover. And,
yeah, that's my favorite cover actually of all the covers.
Yeah. So, you look like a creature from another planet. That's why in that picture.
Just won. That was 2005. I just won the Dallas Europa, and so that wasn't a few years away from being my best. But Parabonal shot that, and the lighting and everything was just right angle, and it just looked really good.
Yeah. He was the best pair, and people. So what you got to understand, guys, is there was no social media back then. There was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. There was no TikTok. There was nothing. And if you wanted to be validated as a bodybuilder, if you appeared on the cover of a magazine, that was instant validation, because everyone saw you, because everyone read the magazines. There wasn't a single person. It's like everyone goes on Instagram now. Everyone went and bought, Muscular Development, Flex, Muscle Mag, and Ironman. Those were the four major magazines. Everyone bought them every single month if you were a hardcore bodybuilding fan. And so everyone, instantly knew who you were. It was like getting your. It was better than a pro card. It was like you became president of the United States for the month. Yeah,
it was pretty cool. And think about this, guys, for this younger generation. we didn't. If you didn't know somebody went to the Olympia, you didn't know who won it until 2 or 3 months afterwards. Think about it.
Yep.
That's crazy, right?
3 months. You're right. Until that magazine came out.
You know how we would find out? We'd call Venice, Gold's Gym at Venice, and ask him about the results that night. We'd call back. I've got to call back 2 or 3 times until they found out the results, because there was always be the guys, the crew from competing Gold's Venice, and they would finish when we'd call back until they got the results, and they'd tell us, and that's how we found out.
Yeah, that's how everyone. If you wanted to find out early, that's the only way you can do it. Yeah.
Yep.
Now you also just started your own supplement company. I understand. What's that about? How'd that get started?
Yeah. So my partner Scott, as I was talking about, he was the original owner and founder of BSN, and for the past few years he's been talking to me about, hey, we ought to do your own thing, and I was like, yeah, and we were working 8 days a week with Wicked Cuts, and then with everything I have going on, and I've got several shows I promote, and still work with Gas and Better Bodies, and I'm very much involved with them. And
so you're still with them then? That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm involved in a lot of day-to-day stuff, management stuff with them, and so I came to him early in the year, and I said, you know what, let's do this. And he said, all right. And I said, I want to launch with a pre-workout, do just a few flavors, and then we just grow the line out from there. And
cool. Very good.
Right. So in the course of the discussion, Phenaflex, which has been around for 7, 8, 9 years,
right?
In Atlanta, and so we had a mutual friend, and introduced us to Phenaflex, and they have their own in-house manufacturing there in Atlanta. And
okay.
they said, "What? Why don't we do your company through Phenaflex, and it'll be your deal." And so we worked out all the details, and so Scott is part of it, and so we've got Warren Nutrition. It's WRN, but it's actually it's a take on my name.
Right.
Warren.
Right.
And so we launched with 3 flavors. We got a fruit punch, lemonade, and strawberry kiwi. And so we just launched December 1st officially. So we're already shipping orders domestically and international. So
congratulations.
The difference between this and the jerky thing, this is our world.
Yes.
This is for me and Scott. We grew our teeth in this industry, and
right.
Earned our stripes. So this is it's I'm not gonna say it's easy by any means, but we know everybody. Everybody knows us.
I think Scott was the first person to create a pre-workout, right? With No Explode.
Scott invented the pre-workout, correct? No Explode.
I mean, I don't think there were any before that.
Yeah. So yeah, he revolutionized the industry with the No Explode, and that's probably the biggest supplement invention in probably the past 30, 40 years, right?
Yeah.
So, changed everything, and
I can't believe he's getting back into supplements. He must be bored, because he obviously doesn't need the money, and it's I think he just missed it. I really do. I think he enjoyed going to the office every day, even though he was fighting with people, and I'm sure there was plenty of drama, but I think he misses it.
He's in the office every day, here at Wicked Cuts. We got the office here, and our warehouse is in the Wicked Cuts office, and he's in here every day. And Scott's he's just a motivated, hardworking guy.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Loves to work and loves the fitness.
But you know what? I always tell people, people say, oh, I hear people say they're retiring. I'm like, what are you going to do when you retire? You retire. I don't know. I would go crazy if I wasn't doing something, all the time.
Yeah, I don't think he'll ever retire. Just like I don't think I'll ever retire.
No.
I can't not be involved in working in something. So
right.
I'll ever hang it.
Yeah.
But with the Warren, we're it's on. You can go to phenaflex.com. You can order it online.
Okay.
This month in December. So we were at the Olympia doing pre-orders. So if you we're in a lot of retailers across the country, and growing by the day. So super excited. We'll be at all the major competitions going forward in 24. So
who should people contact if they want to carry your line?
Reach out to let's see. I'm trying to think the best way to contact it. So you can go to phenaflex.com and just message. Yeah, or go to Warren WRN Supplements, Warren Supplement on Instagram, and just send a direct message.
Cool, perfect. And what about Amazon? Are they going to carry your products too at some point?
Not at the moment, but we want to get this thing going. And before you go, Amazon can be a blessing or it can kill you, be a curse. So you gotta create some demand,
When you first start out, you can't go right to Amazon. Yeah, it's too difficult.
So we're going to be on Amazon for a minute.
Yeah.
Get it going and get it built up. Then, we'll probably eventually go that route.
Yeah. Well, Branch, it was great catching up with you. Best of luck with the baby. I know that's going to be a really busy time for you. You have no idea. I know you already had one, but you forget very, very quickly. And you're 11 years older now, so it's
right.
But it's going to be a blessing for sure.
And it is.
It's really blessed you.
I didn't think at 48 I'd be a father again, but I'll take it. So.
Branch, I didn't start till I was 48. I'm
Really?
55 now. I have a 7-year-old, and I have 2 younger daughters. So you're still doing good.
The time
you can get 2 more. You might get another one out before. I don't know if Trish. How old is Trish now?
She's 43, so 44. Oh, wow. Yeah. So I go, let's have one more. She goes, you're out of your mind.
You know what? They're the most fertile right after they give birth. So if you want to sneak another one in there, that's the time to do it. Branch, great catching up with you, and congratulations on all your successes.
Man, thank you, Dave.
All right, guys, and that's going to take us to the end of another RX Muscle special. I'm Dave Palumbo with Branch Warren. We'll see you next time.